Welcome. Thank you for that. I'd like to start off with something a little different. Would you mind standing and we do the Pledge of Allegiance before I speak today, please? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. I certainly appreciate that. Thank you for the kind words, Kara. I really appreciate that as well. This is about the state of our city, and it couldn't be more important. And I don't think, I want to just sit here today, and I'm not just going to throw out the same things that we heard last week at the Economic Development Outlook. So I'm taking a little different step forward in what we're going to talk about today, just so you know. It is good to see everybody here this morning. I thank you for this opportunity to do this, and I want to thank the Cool Community Center, the Battle Creek Area Chamber of Commerce, the citizens of Battle Creek, and the people that helped with this presentation today, mainly Rebecca Fleury, who's here, and Jessica. Thank you so very much. I certainly appreciate all that help. Thank you. They're awesome. Those of you that know me, some of you don't, it's absolutely killing me to stand behind this podium, so it'll only be for a few minutes, all right? And then I'm going to walk around and try to get some energy going. And the first thing I want to say is I love Battle Creek. Who's with me with that? I love Battle Creek. Absolutely. So today, I'm going to do some quotes from some different prophets, and you'll get it as we go along, all right? So just bear with me. My goal today is to turn numbers into people. Numbers into people. I would rather speak about people today than just the numbers, meaning different things that are bad or good or whatever going on in the city and Calhoun County. The health of the city is very important to all of us. And we have to look at the health of the city on the outside, just like we would ourselves, internally, and also mentally. So in the mental side of it, you know what? I was a detective for a long time. We were always taught that the bad guys that we talked to, they had two little people on their shoulders, right? We all know about that. The one over here going, yeah, go ahead and do that, so what? And then the one over here saying, no, don't do that. Well, you know what? We can choose in Battle Creek to be negative or we can be positive. And I'm going to share something with you. Here today is what I'm going to talk about that's negative. Here today are just a few notes I put together that I'm going to talk about what's positive in Battle Creek. Oh, there's more. There's a lot more. There's a lot more for us to be proud of and positive about in Battle Creek. And you tell me that the negative should be that big, and it is. And the positive is indeed that big. So when you walk out of here today, if my passion for Battle Creek hasn't come across and that doesn't paint the picture that I'm trying to paint, then shame on me. So let's look at the outside health of Battle Creek. How about Lila Arboretum? How about Lila Arboretum? If you have not been there, you need to go there. You need to see those trees, those sculptures. You need to see all the rest of Lila Arboretum. What an asset. And I'm going to tell you a quick story. There was a gentleman here that used to work here as a police officer, and he was an assistant to the city manager named Dan O'Neill. He ended up on the East Coast, and he became a city manager there and retired. He came to see me a couple weeks ago, and he drove through downtown Battle Creek, and he goes, wow, I grew up here. I lived here for a long time. Battle Creek looks beautiful. And I would agree with him. It absolutely looks beautiful. Somebody else that said Battle Creek looks beautiful on the outside was, I liked the show Battle Creek. I did. And I know it had a short run. But when they were in town, the producers and one of their camera people, I got to spend a whole day with them. And the day they picked was Cruise the Gut Day. Isn't that perfect? Isn't that just great? And so we ate with them, we hung out, and I have a hot rod, and so we got in it. And they're from California, and we toured around, and they asked me if I'd smoke the tires, and of course I said no. Well, I did. I'm sorry. Right on Michigan Avenue. Man, got to do it, because I grew up cruising the gut, folks, okay, because I'm from Battle Creek. But you know what they said? They're from LA. And they said, my gosh, do we love this town. And you know what they loved? We walked around Cruise the Gut, and if you've ever been down to that, the weather was perfect that evening. And we just were shaking hands, fist pumping people, doing all these things. They said, my God, we would never do that where we live. You know, and they said, how welcoming is Battle Creek? Bingo. We are welcoming. It's how we look at it. These were people from out of state, and they told us how beautiful Battle Creek looks. Recently also we had an AOPA event. Where's Larry Bowering? Larry, what does AOPA stand for, sir?
Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association.
Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association that came to the city of Battle Creek. And Larry, correct me if I'm wrong, hundreds of airplanes, hundreds of people showed up, and they picked us as one of the 4 cities, right? 4 cities in the United States that they do this. And they couldn't stop talking about how beautiful on the outside Battle Creek was. So I think that's fantastic. So this today is about the people of Battle Creek. It's not about me, it's about the people. And I'll tell you what's resilient about the people. If you do your history of Battle Creek, which I have to study it occasionally too, is between 1854 and 1937. So I know I look old, but I wasn't around for that. There were 16 floods in the city of Battle Creek that took lives and destroyed property. But guess what? Where those floods pretty much occurred, businesses are there, homes are there, people are there, and they're living there today. So I think that's fantastic. I want to talk about job loss for a second. We obviously know that Kellogg has made an announcement about job loss, and we can take it right down to Wendy's closing on Beckley Road. And you know the way I look at that? Every job matters. And I don't mean any disrespect to Wendy's or Kellogg's, but that Wendy's worker that's being displaced is just as important as the Kellogg person that's being displaced. And we need to do everything we can to make sure these people are taken care of. I told you I was going to talk about prophets. And there's a prophet that my wife and I follow, and he always says there's givers and takers. Well, Battle Creek certainly are givers. Look at all the nonprofits we have in Battle Creek. Look at if we need volunteers, how they react to things. And you know who the prophet was that said that? Anybody have any idea? Dr. Phil. Okay, so. Oh, it gets better. I also wanted to talk about the outside is our military history. How do I speak positive about Battle Creek without mentioning our military history? And the gentlemen that are here today, thank you so very much for your service and what you do for our community. I am proud to say there's a sign in front of me. We are an official Purple Heart city where we had to go through a process, and we are one of the cities in Michigan that do that because we respect what you all do for us. Thank you very much. Also, I want to talk about the commission for a minute. A lot of people go, geez, I don't know much about the city commission. Well, I do. And you know what? The commission is made up of 5 women and 4 men. It's made up of different races. We have local high school graduates. You know what? Our commission has associate degrees, bachelor degrees, master's degrees, law degrees, prior military service, city employment. There's 3 of us that work for the city for over 75 years. We have lawyers, teachers, professors, small business owners, nonprofits, police officers, a city clerk, a rental owner or rental owners, committee members, financial consultant, church board members. And then I looked into how much does the commission volunteer. Holy cow. And we had somebody come to one of our meetings and say that we don't get out in the community enough. And I would take issue with that. Our 9 city commissioners, we are in the community all the time, everywhere. And I think they do one heck of a good job. The other 8. Thank you very much for that. I'm so anxious to get out from behind this. Okay, so internally, we're going to talk about a couple things internally, City of Battle Creek highlights, and then I'll go ahead and talk about some other things. It was a foundation building year for the city. We're like a house. You have to spend time drafting blueprints, building a strong, solid foundation before you can add support walls. a roof, comfortable furniture, and the personal items that make it feel like home. So to talk about a few things, our IT, wastewater, and other public work staffs prepared the hardware, training, and infrastructure on our wastewater treatment plant for a new secondary treatment process that will save 20% of the plant's total energy. We're looking at things as our clerk's office completed testing for nearly 200 entry-level firefighter candidates, helping the city create a list of men and women well suited to this work and service to the city. And Chief, thank you for the service to our city and all the firefighters here in Battle Creek. Our finance and utility billing staffs improved customer service this year by implementing electronic billing and online payments by credit card. That may not seem like a big deal. That's huge, folks. That's huge. And you know, our communications have continued to improve, educating the public about city staff with services, with projects, multimedia during National Public Works Week, our first ever city fair, and ongoing outreach throughout social media and bi-monthly newsletter. And once again, that falls on the entire city, but that is Jessica Vanderkook, who does a heck of a job for us and was a great hire several years ago. There's so many things I could talk about. I really mean that. I want you to glance over at that occasionally and remember what the negative versus what the positive is. How about housing in neighborhoods? Chris Lucier, who works for the city of Battle Creek, provided a couple of stats that I am going to share. Based on the indicators we use to track neighborhood health, we've improved for the third year in a row in 2016. Neighborhood improvement was based on fewer tax foreclosures, fewer new vacant building enforcements, and a more robust housing market. Tax foreclosures in the city of Battle Creek dropped from 98 in 2015 to 34 in 2016. The number of vacant buildings on our registry dropped to 710, the lowest since 2008. At that point, it was around 800 in 2015. New vacant building enforcements dropped from 262 in 2015 to 184 last year. The number of home sales increased for the 5th consecutive year. Medium home sale value increased from $78,500 to $89,900. That is good news for the city of Battle Creek. So I want to mention a couple other highlights. Chief Blocker is here today. Chief, thank you for your service both to our country as a military officer and as our chief of police, and to every man and woman who's ever worn the uniform, wears it today, or will in the future. Thank you so much. Our crime is down. There's 7 crimes, Chief, that they look at through the UCR, the Uniform Crime Report, and only 1 was up for this last year, and that was sexual assault. But obviously, when the Chief talked about it last week, you know, that has a lot of reasons, like maybe more people are reporting it, so we can catch those bad guys and get that scum off the street. So that's what we want to do. We are doing in the city of Battle Creek now a priority-based budget. And to keep that very simple as to what that is we have gone to all the department heads, and they've had to do some homework. Not that they're not busy, because they certainly are, but they had to take all the priorities, just like it speaks to, and give a number of 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1 meaning a high priority, 4 meaning a low priority, and then, fellas, tell me if I'm wrong with this, then you shift that around and decide, where's the money going to go? Versus say the engineering department has a budget of, I'm throwing it out there, like $2 million. Rather than just go, hey, we got $2 million to spend, it is really going to be outlined, and they better be spending that on the 1s and 2s, right? We reevaluate the 3s, and the 4s might go down the road. So we truly are trying to spend your tax dollars the right way with that priority-based budgeting. Also, in cooperation with that, Ted Deering, the assistant city manager that's here, and Rebecca Fleury, our city manager, have put together an economic development plan that is really exciting. It's been presented to different community leaders so far. It's been presented to the commission, and I'm not aware of anyone, Ted, correct me if I'm wrong, that's not on board with this. They are. So you're going to see some really neat stuff coming out of the city of Battle Creek and how we're going to take care of your money. It is not my money. It is your money, and we need to be the right fiduciary for that money, so that's what we're going to do. Thank you, Ted and Rebecca. Thank you. Oh, And how could I not speak today without talking about what is referred to, I know it has a formal name, the Missile Defense Site. You know, I've been part of that for many years. Kara, there's countless people in the room that are part of that. You know what? We're hoping any day, any second, it could happen while I'm standing up here today, that we get the nod and the approval that we were number one on that list. Now, I personally know that we should be number one on that list and feel like we are. And you know what? That's going to be a big boost to the city of Battle Creek, and I love it. Let's bring it on to the military. Something that's dear to me is Ted Deering and I last year literally took a slow boat to China, I think it was, wasn't it, Ted? It took us only 36 hours to get there, and we got to know each other quite well. And we went there on business, and I want to talk about this because as we're speaking right this second, we have a delegation from China heading to Battle Creek. We have a delegation from South Korea heading to Battle Creek. We're actually coming back. The Chinese developer and individual, this would be his first time, as far as I know, actually to the United States. So they're on their way. Ted's going to be leaving here shortly to meet them in Chicago, and this evening when they get to Battle Creek, I will meet them. And it's part of what's called the UC group. And this is so exciting, folks. These people came in and they bought Washington School and all the land around it that's been vacant for how many years. And they're going to bring students in from South Korea and China, and these are their numbers, not ours, 500 to 1,500 students coming to Battle Creek and will rotate through. If that's not a plus, I don't know what is. When you think about that, when you really think about that, those are students living in Battle Creek, basically in the downtown area, studying at KCC and Western. That bumps up the tuition numbers, that bumps up everything. Residency, we're going to explode. What a great problem to have. We are really excited about this. It is on board. They are buying property. And the reason one of the Chinese gentlemen is coming here, he's kind of funding some of that, is he wants to look at a business out in Fort Custer as well, and some property out there. So this is a big boost for us. How about, and I'm going to throw it out there, I believe our roads in the city of Battle Creek are the best darn roads in the county. They are fantastic, are they not? Yeah, absolutely. Did you hear Ty Gerber, the man in charge? Absolutely. I know we have some potholes occasionally, but you know what? They're on it. They're on it. Our roads are fantastic. And I've got a big surprise for you. And, you know, as Kara said, I'm a cyclist. I love to bicycle. So I like the bike lane, sorry. But you know what? Anybody here, raise your hand if you've ever seen the bike lanes on La Vista Boulevard. Oh my, right? I mean, come on, oh my. Why is this designed that way? Who did this? Why is it that way? Carl, we're fixing that, aren't we?
A portion of it.
A portion of it. We're starting. We're starting. And so I'm so excited to say that those bike lanes are still going to exist. All right, but we're doing it different, so it doesn't look like when you turn on that, you don't know which lane you're supposed to be in. And so, as a cyclist, I don't want to ride down there, quite honestly, you know, unless I had eyes in the back of my head. But we're fixing that, so that's a good thing. Nostalgia. Here I go. I'm going to start on the move here in a second. Nostalgia. I told you I was going to talk about people and things versus stats. I love nostalgic things. I have an old car. My wife has an old husband. You know, there's lots of things. I have a jukebox. I like old things like that. And that's great. We should, you know, enjoy that. The things that we had when we were growing up or whatever. But you know what? And I don't mean to make the rest of this a sermon of some sort, but it truly is how I feel and other residents. Change is happening in Battle Creek. Do you hear that? Change is happening in Battle Creek. And I'm going to throw this out there. I've been born and raised here. We're at the Cool Center right now. I love the name of that. I just kind of shortened it. We're at the Cool Center. Those of you born and raised here who've been in Battle Creek a long time, let's think about the change just around the Cool Center. I remember when I was a patrolman, I would come to the Dairy Queen that's would be about 75 yards away from here and eat foot-long chili dogs occasionally and hang out there. There was a Dairy Queen there. How about the Hart Hotel? And I'm only talking about things within 100 to 200 yards of where we are right now. How much has changed? And if it's for the negative, it's not. These are just changes. These are just changes. So the Hart Hotel was a going place, right? It was. How about the bar inside the Hart Hotel? I was only there on police calls, and it was called the Slaney Shanty. You guys remember? Some of you remember that? How about what is the police officers called it the VBL right across the street? The Van Buren Luncheon. Do you remember that, where the parking lot is, where the Federal Center parking lot is right now? How about the Parkview Lounge just across the street? How about the Roma Cafe? How about where we are right now, what had two names, the Tip Top or the Top Hat restaurant, where you would go and have breakfast. And it turned into a Chinese restaurant at one point. How about Hash's Grill? Oh, now there's a chili dog, right? Or a coney dog. How about the sports page? How about Cereal City, USA? How about another one, because I was a hippie in the 60s, there was a place where Summit Point is called the Bird's Nest. Yeah, anybody remember the Bird's Nest? Oh yeah, the Bird's Nest where you could get the peace symbols for your bell bottoms and you could iron them on and do all those things. That existed. All of this is within 100 yards of here. So what is the point I'm trying to make? The point is, you know what? We're in a position where we're changing right now. We're changing. And the citizens have changed along with it. And we need to continue to do that. And the Battle Creek Community Foundation has a campaign going right now, and I couldn't agree with it more. And you know what it's called? It's called Believe in Battle Creek. Let me say that again. We believe in Battle Creek. Is there anybody that's going to support that with me in the Community Foundation? You bet. Okay, that works.
Too close to that.
Oh yeah, I'll stay away from it. Thank you. Okay, can you hear me okay with this? All right, so I'm going to bounce around a little bit. So we believe in Battle Creek. Remember I told you that we were going to listen to some prophets? I do have one more prophet I want to talk about here. And I'm going to read a statement. Some of you will know who this prophet is by the time I'm done. Picture he's talking to his family member, but it's like we're talking to the city of Battle Creek. Here we go. But somewhere along the line you changed. You stopped being you. You let people stick a finger in your face and tell you you're no good. And when things got hard, you started looking for something to blame, like a big shadow. Let me tell you something you already know. The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It is very mean and a nasty place. And I don't care how tough you are, it can and will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. You, me, or nobody is going to hit as hard as life. But it ain't about how hard you're hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. Now, if you know what you're worth, then go out and get what you're worth. But you got to be willing to take the hits and not point fingers saying you ain't where you want to be because of him or her or anybody. Cowards do that. And that ain't you. You're better than that. I'm always going to love you no matter what happens. You're my son, or in this case, you're my city, and you're my blood. You're the best thing in my life, but until you start believing in yourself, you ain't going to have a life. Now, who was the prophet that said that? Any ideas? Rocky Balboa. Absolutely. I don't know. It sounds corny, but tell me that doesn't go hand in hand with what the Community Foundation wants us to do. Is not think negative. We need to be positive. We need to think about things and take it that way, not the negative way. I looked up a couple definitions I wanted to share with you. The word believe. Accept something as true. Feel sure of that truth. That's what we need. We need the confidence going forward, whether we're city employees, small business owners, large business owners, work for a Fortune 500 company. We need to believe that we can change Battle Creek and we can roll with these punches and do what we need to do going forward. Thank you. The military folks in here will understand this or prior service. We need to improvise. You know where I'm going with this, right? We need to improvise. And if you look up what improvise means, it means to create and perform sometimes spontaneously or without preparation. In other words, we need to react to these things that are happening. We need to. And we need to produce or make something from whatever is available. So we need to improvise. We need to adapt. Adapt. Another definition, make something suitable for a new use or purpose. Where sometimes we get so set in our ways, like, oh, you know, Wendy's closed. What are we going to do now? Well, quick story. Wendy's closed. Within an hour, I got a phone call from a gentleman. It's a business owner in Battle Creek. Says, hey, I'd like to buy that building. Who do I talk to? Those are the things that you don't always hear about and see, because sometimes those developers don't want you to know initially. But that's what happened. So we have people already interested. We have people interested, and I hope I'm not giving away the farm here, Ted. Just kind of throw something if I am. The old Toys R Us building. You know, there's a lot of buildings that I could sit here and talk forever just about that we have interest in. So those are the things sometimes we don't see. So we improvise, adapt, and what's the last one for military people here? Overcome? All right, overcome. Succeed in dealing with the problem and or the difficulty. And we will defeat it. And the magic word here is the citizens of Battle Creek will prevail. We will prevail over this. Thank you. We will. So, I did attend the event last Thursday about economic development. And Joe from BCU, Joe, raise your hand. He's our young, energetic person in charge now at BCU. And he said something that we say sometimes when we run for the city commission positions, and that is, we should all be cheerleaders. We should all be cheerleaders. And we should. And I'm going to add something on top of that. We should not be proud to say rude things about the city of Battle Creek. And what I like to do is when somebody says something that's rude and wrong about Battle Creek, is there anything wrong with correcting them and showing them that, hey, there's a positive side to things versus that negative? I think we need to do that. And Joe also mentioned something else. I think economically that we need to recruit, right, Joe? Correct me if I'm wrong. Recruit, retain, and now, if we're losing some jobs, retrain. So remember those three things. Recruit, retain, and retrain. We need to get in the middle of that, and let's get these people that are out of work back to work so they can be part of the economy and they can help themselves as well. Let's do that. One other person I just want to quote here, and I will wind this down, I know we're on a time schedule, is this person said this about Battle Creek. Dr. Kellogg was a teacher. He knew that the first job of this great sanitarium, that tells you where this is going to date back to, which he liked to call a university of health, was to teach people how to get well, which is the recruiting, and then teach them how to stay well. That's what we need to work on, right? Is we recruit and we retain. The retention is very important, whether it be city employees or any employee there. But the same person had one other thing to say. And I quote, "For we shall be judged by those who come after us. We are writing our record for our children to look at, and they can either point to it with pride or they can blush with shame. We're anxious about the verdict they are going to write about us. I hope we can give them reason to be charitable. I hope that we will conclude that by our deeds we extended the boundaries of compassion, that we gave really new meaning to humanity, and that we did succeed in bringing health, prosperity, freedom, and liberty, and happiness to our fellow man here in the city of Battle Creek." And anybody have any idea who said that? President Lyndon Johnson, September of 1966 here in Battle Creek. So he recognized the potential and wanted us to keep doing it. And what I see, folks, is our city does that long before 1966, and we've done it since 1966. So we need to keep doing that. So I'm going to wind up with a couple of thoughts. Share a quick story with you. When you think that Battle Creek isn't jumping, and it's not growing, and there's not businesses, Kara mentioned that I like to bike. Well, I like to mountain bike more than I do road bike. So one of the crazy things I like to do in the fall is load up my mountain bike and head out to Fort Custer in the morning when it's dark. At like 6 in the morning, 5:45. I challenge you, go out and park on Dickman Road, somewhere near the airport or a little farther out west. Watch the traffic coming into the city of Battle Creek, not going out. Watch the traffic coming into the city of Battle Creek and the headlights and the stream of people that are coming here to work each and every day. It is fascinating to see that. And I challenge you to go out and do that. Do that some morning. You'll get goosebumps. It's like, whoa, I didn't know this was happening. And the other quick story there, as a patrolman, I had to work night shift quite a bit. And that was always fun. But you know what was great? You're trying to stay awake on a cold winter night. You got the window down in the car. You're sticking your head out, driving, well, at least the speed limit. Trying to stay awake. And you know what? I would park at the corner of Michigan and Washington. Where we're talking? Right here, right? Watch the traffic come in starting at about 5:30. The traffic that's going to work, going to the Federal Center, going to the hospitals, going to KCC, going to all the assets and positive things that we have going on in Battle Creek, going to Bailey Park functions, going to the airport, going to whatever it may be in the city of Battle Creek. The traffic is unbelievable. If you think that this city is dying, you are wrong. You are absolutely wrong. We need to look at that. Couple last thoughts. One is, anybody know what a slot car is besides me? Oh yeah, a slot car. Quick story. I had a gentleman reach out to me and goes, hey, I heard you were the mayor. And I said, yeah, why? And he said, well, I want to run something by you. This gentleman's from Vicksburg. And he is retired from a business here in Battle Creek but lives in Vicksburg. Slot cars are his hobby, which are like little tiny cars, different scales they have, and they race them. And it's a hobby that he has. But he made a track and did these things, and he wants to open a business doing that, like a hobby shop, if you will, not just with slot cars. And he said, and I'm not picking on any particular city around here, but he visited cities all around Battle Creek. And then him and his wife came here and spent an entire Saturday. They ate breakfast here. They ate lunch here. They ate dinner here. And they drove everywhere around Battle Creek. And they said, you know what? He says, I've been all over Southwest Michigan because there's nothing like this in Southwest Michigan. He says, I want it to be in Battle Creek. Your city looks beautiful, acts beautiful. Everybody was great to me, including every waitress, on up to business owners and such. That is about the people of Battle Creek and what we're like, and look at that. So he wants to locate now, instead of other larger cities, come to Battle Creek, Michigan. I think that's fantastic. A couple of closing thoughts. Chris Cooley. Who knows Chris Cooley? All right. Owns the Nook, right? The Energy Nook. I call it the Nook, right? Is Chris like as positive as can be? Don't we need that more? I mean, really, don't we need that more? And I know I'm preaching to the choir here. You probably wouldn't be here today. But we need, when we walk out of here, to be that. To have that positive attitude about what's going on in the city of Battle Creek. Like I said, I could get up here and quote numbers and stats all day long about things. We did that last week. I'm truly taking what Joe said to heart. We need to be cheerleaders. Chris Cooley, he's a cheerleader. And if his positive attitude isn't contagious, I'm sorry, it is. And it makes you want to be around people like that and support people like that. So Chris always comes to mind. This city of Battle Creek, the state of the city, I think the state of the city is awesome. I think it's fantastic. We are going to get over these bumps, these job losses. Once again, I don't want to minimize that. I know it affects those people tremendously. But you know what? We as citizens and neighbors and business owners and all the other titles that are in this room, we can help those folks. And we start by helping each other in the city and doing that. So we need to keep doing what we do best. Right? We need to keep doing what we do best. And that means support everyone in this city, no matter who they are or what they are in this city. We need to support them. Thank you. Two last comments. I really like the Battle Creek Community Foundation's new campaign, Believe in Battle Creek. We need to walk away from here today with that. Have that in your mind, believe in Battle Creek. And then I want to leave you with a personal thing. My wife's going to be embarrassed that I say this, maybe not. But there's a thing in my industry that we have what's called a BME, Best Month Ever. Because sometimes when you work on a combination of salary plus commission and things like that, Jacob, you know what I'm talking about, right? We have a thing called BME, Best Month Ever. Well, in our family, we kind of took that phrase and we changed it years ago, and we say this to each other just about every day. And it's called BDE. Make it the best day ever. The absolute best day ever. Whether it be for you, whether it be for your family, whether it be for your neighbors, or each and every person in this room. So I've tried to present a positive attitude today. This is the city of Battle Creek. I'm a lucky guy. I get to represent 50-some thousand people up here. And I truly believe in my heart that all of us are more positive, and we need to get those negative people on our side, and we need to bump things up and have the best day ever. Thank you very much.